YouTube viewers, Rectangular back with another review. Here we have the Series 3 Buffy the Vampire Slayer Becoming Kendra figure. This was made by Diamond Select and was a previews exclusive, meaning you had to get it from a comic book shop or dealer who has an account with previews. They are a comic distributor. Anyway, I do not know a whole lot about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I never watched the show, so I can't tell you a whole lot about the character. It does have a relatively close likeness to the character portrayed by the actress there on the side of the packaging. And these are, as with most Diamond Select figures, they are in 7-inch scale. Alright, let's take a look at the back. Here we've got the back of the packaging with some of the other figures in this wave. We have the Chosen Kennedy on the far left, the White Witch Willow, and the Chosen Willow, which looks like the same figure with just a different head. And then we have the Becoming Kendra, which we are going to review now. Now these are what they consider the deluxe line of these figures. In previous waves they did not have nearly as much articulation, didn't come with as much accessories, but overall had pretty decent sculpts and paint. Here we have the figure out of the package with all of her accessories. On the left we have the old-fashioned recurve crossbow, and in front of her feet we have the long sword with the gold handle and hilt. And then we have the Slayer's Handbook and the two sleeveless arms that are interchangeable. And then in her hand, secured with a rubber band, she has a wooden stake, which might actually be bone. Her hand is pretty open, so made sense that they use that rubber band to hold it in place. Hopefully we'll be able to get it to stay in one of the open hands here, although that one looks pretty wide, so not promising anything in that department. Alright, let's go ahead and get a closer look at the accessories individually. The first of the accessories she comes with are her spare sleeveless arms, and I'll just do one at a time here. Move that right or left arm out of the way, and here we have the right arm. It has a ball joint at the shoulder, and they are ratcheted, which is nice. There is some paint rub already out of the package. The plastic is pretty close to the flesh tone color, but the flesh tone is a little bit darker. And as with most Diamond Select figures, they seem to be a very brittle plastic, so I always try to be very gentle when I'm handling these figures, especially moving the joints. And these joints are or the arm is very thin, so just be very careful when you're manipulating these. So it's going to give you a rotation at the shoulder, double jointed elbow, and then the rotation at the wrist, and then a hinge on the hand there. The paint is a little bit thick, so you want to be careful and loosen it up before you try to put it on the figure. Would hate to have you break it. And then we have the left arm, which comes with a closed fist. So same articulation, got the rotation at the wrist there, and the hinge. This paint was a little bit thicker, so you could see that the paint was starting to separate a little bit there. But yeah, very good articulation, and unfortunately the paint right out of the package is very spotty there. I don't know if it was sticking to something in the package or the package itself, but got some excuse me, missing paint there. So it looks like the plastic underneath is kind of grayish. So hopefully I can match that up with some flesh tone and brown mixed together. And again, rotation there at the ball jointed shoulder. Next up we have the Slayer's Handbook accessory, and very simple. It is nice that you can't actually see, hopefully that's showing up on camera, you can't actually see the way that it's sculpted and painted, that it looks like there are actual individual pages in there, so that's very cool. Attention to detail, very, very nice. And next we have her crossbow, and this is old medieval style crossbow, no string. It is a pretty, what feels like pretty hard plastic, so I'm going to be careful not to bend these back too far or you'll probably break it. Zoom out a little bit. And it does have an arrow sculpted on the top there. And it's got the handle in the front and then the trigger in the back. It's a lever to activate the bow itself, to fire the bow. And very nice. Really like the sculpt. It does have a nice silver paint there on the arms of the bow itself, and the fletching, can actually see the feather there on the back. Very nice. It's a little bit dark there on the top, so you can't really see the arrow all that well. Alright, and last we have the sword, and this is a very, very nice sword. Again, it's very brittle plastic, so you want to be pretty careful with it. The tip is a little bit on the jagged side there. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but it's a little bit just bent or crooked, and it could just be excess paint if I'm pulling that off. But very, very nice. You know, it's gonna, because it's not a soft plastic, it's gonna maintain its shape extremely well. So it's kind of like the same rigidity, if not even more rigid than a cocktail sword that you would get at a bar, or at like a dollar store figure. But not a whole lot of detail on the handle itself. It's just gold, but looks pretty good. Doesn't look like the silver and gold are bleeding into each other too badly. Very nice. So yeah, I'm really liking these accessories. I almost forgot the last accessory that she comes with is this wooden stake, which is rubber banded to her right hand, and very cool. I think it could have used a little bit, maybe a different shade of paint to go with it, just to make it pop out a little bit more. But I think it might actually be supposed to be bone, like a horn, so very cool. It is quite narrow. I don't know that it's going to hold up in her hand without a rubber band, so just keep that in mind, that it's probably going to just slip out, and you if you are able to get this mint on card, I would definitely save the clear rubber band that she comes with to keep that in place. If not, get some new ones. Alright, so you can get her to hold a crossbow. It does look a little awkward. Pretty much the only way you can get it on there is to have her hand underneath the trigger mechanism, and she doesn't have, she has a closed fist on her left hand, so you can't really get her to hold the front grip of that crossbow there. So yeah, not the best execution there. Would have been nice if the hands were maybe more flexible material, and then you could have had them closed a bit more, and because there's no way you can get her to hold the sword either. It's just going to fall out, just like I showed the this wooden stake. So almost had it in there. So yeah, you're going to need to keep those rubber bands handy, because you can kind of just dangle it in there and it's not gonna hold in the way a person would normally hold it. You might be able to get it one of her fingers through the front of the hilt there, but yeah, it's just not gonna happen. So like I said, Diamond Select are typically 7-inch scale, and she stands about 6 1/4 inches tall, which is probably pretty accurate for most petite females. And overall, I really like the design. I'll show you the back of the figure there. I think they did an incredible job on the sculpt and paint of the head on the figure. Really looks lifelike to me, especially the eyes. I think the lipstick applied pretty well. Most Marvel Legends don't have that good of lipstick application, and looks really good from the front. The only thing is on the side is that those neck peg there for the hinge. That's the only thing that really detracts. But yeah, her eyes are great. Also like all the detail in the hair. I can see all the little fine hairs close to her scalp that are, with the hair being pulled back. That looks great, and really like the ponytail, the way that, or braid, sorry, the way the braid came out. It is a little bit of a softer material, but I wouldn't yank on it too hard. It's liable to break off. So, but the only thing that would have been nicer is if that was on a hinge, so that if you did accidentally, crank on it, it wouldn't break off. It would just move with you. So yeah, very, very nice job on the head, paint and sculpt wise. And the shirt looks good. There is quite a bit of mold release still on the figure, so that's where you're getting that really glossy look there on the shirt. But I like all the sculpted detail on it, and the coat looks really nice as well. It's a nice softer material, so it's flexible. And good job sculpting all the detail on the sleeves. Doesn't affect the articulation a whole lot, and really looks good. So she doesn't appear to have a belt, but nice sculpt there on the pants. She's wearing skin tight pants apparently. No pockets on the rear end, and yeah, there's no waist joint there. It's all at the top, so there's no worry about paint rub or anything between the two sections of the figure. And her boots, I guess those are boots, maybe they're shoes, but really like the different shades of brown that they put in there. The pant leg is still pretty hard material, does not have a whole lot of bend to it, so you don't want to press on it too much, or crack or break it. Doesn't appear to be any peg holes at the bottom of her feet, but yeah, really like the paint. It's pretty simple, paint scheme. It's just like an ash green, brown, and black for her jacket, but it does look like there is some shading going on in the pants with a slightly darker coat of brown there, so I like that quite a bit. Alright, so unlike most Diamond Select figures, these actually have quite a bit of articulation. Now, I mentioned the peg holes, or the holes for the peg and the neck, so she does have a pretty good range of motion. She does have a disc there on the neck, so she can look way up, which it's better than most Marvel Legends can look up, and she can look all the way down. So that's fantastic. That's why I really like these deluxe figures. And of course she can rotate left and right. And I'm sure you could have her do Blair Exorcist spin all the way around. Now, the way that they did the articulation on the shoulders is that they give you the less articulated, just a swivel at the shoulder for the coat arms, but they still have a bicep swivel there and double jointed elbows, and then the hinge, which has a rotation at the wrist. Now, same thing on the other side, you know, up and down. It is kind of stiff. It's a more softer plastic, so I don't want to crank on it too much because these things are notorious for breaking. But again, you got the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and the rotation and a hinge on the wrist. So let's pop these off. I'm so hesitant to do this for the first time. Alright, so it is kind of a softer plastic there with the peg that just goes into the arm socket, and you could take the coat off if you like, and we'll do that on the other side. Just go slow, kind of jiggle, rotate back and forth, rock it out. There we go. I think this is probably the most notorious part for breaking on these figures. I want to see if we can get the arm in with as a vest. Don't really think it works, so I was wrong. You need to take the vest off. Oh, sorry, out of focus there. You got to take off the vest, and then you can pop the arms into the sockets, and they go in pretty easy. So you shouldn't have to force it. And just pop on there pretty easily, and so then you got better articulation because of the ball joints there. So we already went over the articulation on these arms, but for the torso, she has just a regular torso joint, which we're all familiar with on our Marvel Legends. Pretty decent range of motion, not the best. You know, it's always kind of the bane of our existence. It's nice to have some torso articulation, but could always be better. So these arms don't peg in all that well. She's awful small framed figure, pretty skinny there, but it gives you the 360 view. And then let's get to the rest of the body. So like I said, there's no waist articulation, just have it at the upper torso there, and legs are on ball jointed hips there, which are really articulated. She can go all the way 90 degrees to the side there, and they are on a slight ratchet, but I would go slow when you're ratcheting those up. So very nice there, and of course it rotates all the way around, double jointed knees, and then at the ankle we have up and down, and then it has a slight, pretty good ankle pivot, and then full 360 rotation as well. And then she has a toe joint. Very, very nice. So these are very reminiscent of the old Toy Biz Marvel Legends as far as articulation goes. And this is why I prefer ball joints on figures, especially figures that are supposed to be really acrobatic, because then you can get them in nice high kicking poses. And again, no peg holes at the bottom of the feet. But yeah, great articulation on this, especially for a Diamond Select figure. So here she is next to a couple of other Buffy figures. On her right, your left, that would be the Faith figure from the same line. I think it was, she's a deluxe figure, and I think they're actually the same body mold. Obviously, the different head sculpt. Although Faith does have a open hand on the left side, whereas Kendra has a fist on both of her hands. And I think Faith also holds weapons a little bit better. Her right hand is actually a little more closed than Kendra's. For some reason, I'm having a really hard time getting her to stand. She just wants to fall over. But yeah, and then that Tara, I think, was from Wave 1, the gal in the blue dress there. She only has 4 points of articulation, so huge difference between the old standard figure here and the newer deluxe version that has a much better articulation. So she only has single jointed elbows, really no head articulation, and shoulder joints, and that's it. Just a swivel at the shoulder and a single jointed elbow, no wrist articulation, and really I can't get the head to move, so I don't really think that's supposed to move. Alright, let's get her compared to another couple of other figures. So here we've got Kendra next to some various Marvel Legends from different times and manufacturers. On the far left we have the Toy Biz Miss Marvel. Next to her is the Hasbro Tigra, and of course Kendra. And then on the far right we have the new Hasbro Black Cat. So quite a bit of diversity there in the different sizes of female figures, but I think she fits in pretty damn perfectly. So for typically a 7-inch scale line, these female figures are right on par with 6-inch. So don't hesitate if you're thinking about getting these to work with your Legends, because they fit perfectly. The male characters, I do have some male Marvel Select figures, and they are significantly taller than the male counterparts on Marvel Legends or a 6-inch scale. But these work quite well. She is pretty skinny. Also, that Tigra is very skinny. So it's nice to see Hasbro giving us more voluptuous female molds. But anyway, hopefully you guys liked the review, and you hit the like button, share with your friends. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I always love hearing back from you guys, so please leave a comment below. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.
That's crispy.